right, welcome back to InsideFlix. It's time for our weekly box office report. This is where we dive into the last weekend's box office numbers. So without wasting any more time, let's dive right in. Rich, tell us which movies made it into the top 5 this past weekend.
The number 1 movie in America is Transformers Rise of the Beast with $61 million. Coming in number 2 is Spiderman Across the Spider-Verse with $55.5 million. Number 3 is The Little Mermaid with $23.1 million. Coming in number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with $7.2 million. And around the top 5 is The Boogeyman with $7.1 million.
Okay, even though that Transformers Rise of the Beast topped the box office this past weekend, it didn't quite hit the mark with the studio's projections, or at least what they hoped for. I mean, it's about what they wanted.
Yeah, it's like I said last weekend, that I thought that there was a chance that Spider-Man would come in number 1, and I was pretty close. I mean, if it didn't have that Thursday opening, I would have been, right.
I mean, this isn't a great number for Transformers, but I mean, it pretty much tripled what Bumblebee opened to. So I mean, you can't be disappointed in that regard, but it's not a cheap movie, and I just don't see this movie being profitable.
Well, we got to see with its second week in the box office. I mean, I think that's going to be true with a lot of movies this summer. This summer is going to be, I think, a lot of movies coming out front-loaded. You're going to have like strong openings, but it's going to be depending on the second week, third week, and fourth week to really surmise if there are truly box office successful. Because it's going to be a really packed June, and there's going to be a lot of new releases. So if Transformers is going to be a box office success to the point where they're going to be thinking about another installment, and we'll have to kind of fight off these new movies that are coming out. That's going to be a real fight.
Yeah, because these are 2 big movies coming out next weekend, and this one could be lost in the shuffle. Fortunately for it, that it had pretty decent reviews. Yeah. So that's the only thing. That's a big positive for this film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Transformers fan. I've been kind of over the Transformers live action franchise for a while. But I went to go see the movie, and while a lot of the kind of Transformers aspects of the movie still kind of don't work for me, a lot of things about the movie did work, and I thought that the action and stuff was, probably some of the best action I've seen all year, and the movie was a true crowd pleaser, and everyone in the audience seemed to really love it, and I don't know. I think the movie will have good word of mouth.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because as someone who is a big Transformers cartoon fan who grew up on the 80s cartoon, but did not like the Michael Bay films. In fact, I kind of stopped after the second one. Was not a big fan of Bumblebee either, and was not really enthusiastic to see this movie, so I didn't. But some of the reviews have said that this is kind of more a throwback to the 90s Transformers, and also the great black cinema of the 90s, because a lot of hip hop in it, and maybe not a lot of people know that it's actually set in the 90s.
Well, what I liked about the movie was actually the 90s setting, because you got to play a lot of, hip hop and stuff. Like, they play a lot of Wu-Tang throughout the movie, and it worked for me. And I really liked Anthony Ramos in the film, and I thought kind of, it felt for me like they were kind of going for the more Fast and the Furious audience. And to me, like, out of this and Fast X, like, this is the one you go see, and this is the better film. And I hope that this could kind of win over the Fast and the Furious audience, because I mean, I think they did a better job at serving that audience. They incorporated Peru in a big part of the third act, and the way they used it was just phenomenal. I was very impressed how they used the Machu Picchu in the film, and it was really cool. And while I'm not a big Transformers fan, so like all this kind of Decepticon stuff and this kind of MacGuffin about the staff and this kind of stuff just really did not work for me at all. I think for fans that have grown up loving the Michael Bay movies, and maybe for fans of the cartoon, I have no idea. This is a Transformers movie, and this is probably the best live action one we've gotten so far. I mean, because Bumblebee was more trying to be like an Iron Giant type of thing. This is Transformers all the way.
let's talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. After less than 2 weeks, it has already surpassed the entire box office run of its first film, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is a big deal, and has now become Sony's highest grossing animated film in history. So that's a big, big deal. With the, like we were saying, with the oncoming competition, can this survive within the next couple of weeks?
Yes, I think so because it still has an appeal to a younger audience. I don't think the new Pixar film will capture that much of a younger audience. This one still has that appeal to.
There's something cool. There's a cool factor to this movie, right?
Definitely.
I somewhat agree with Rich, because I do think, family movies and children movies have really been the ones, like the movies kind of dominating the box office. I mean, the biggest movie of the year is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And, Little Mermaid, while it was definitely a big hit domestically, it's already, kind of, making its way slowly making its way out of the box office. And Across the Spider-Verse, it seems like it's gonna stick around for a while. It's gonna take the spot where Little Mermaid, should have been. And Elemental, yeah, I don't see that being a huge hit. I maybe it'll have a nice opening, but I don't see that having legs.
Well, let me ask you about the Across the Spider-Verse, because I think the appeal to this movie really has more to do with the video game rather than the comic book or even, say, the superhero wave.
That's an interesting take.
I think you told me this. I think you had that was your take. I'm stealing your take. Well, I think you were saying like the popularity of the video game has excited this movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What I was saying is, that Sony is freaking brilliant when it comes to marketing, because they're releasing this movie at just the right time. They're releasing all the trailers for their upcoming, Spider-Man 2 video game, which looks incredible. The Spider-Man games, I think, the ones that they released for PS4 and PS5 have much better stories than anything that they've done with, these movies, the animated movies or the live action movies. And I think, kind of getting people hyped for Spider-Man and, getting, the awareness out for that new video game coming out is making people, want to watch this movie.
And they added Miles Morales on the cover of that.
Yeah, and they added, Miles Morales on Fortnite and all that. So yeah, it makes it even bigger. I mean, Sony's brilliant when it comes to this. We do have to bring up, Flash is coming out this weekend, and they are very similar movies.
Yes.
And, while I think, I have seen both movies, and while I think you can say that Across the Spider-Verse might have a better script, Flash is a live action movie. It's a return of Michael Keaton. This movie's going to be huge. Do you think it's going to affect the Spider-Verse's box office?
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's just how long will Across the Spider-Verse maintain in the top 5?
Well, this is why I bring up the video game, because I think the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has the upper hand because it has that following from the video game, where the Flash doesn't. I think that's going to play a major part in these numbers coming up. But yes, let's continue with the top 5, and let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah, it's just surpassed 800 mark, the worldwide box office. So that's the main goal that they are intended to reach, and that's a great milestone for this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, doing super well, and I'm so happy for the movie. I mean, I still think it's the best comic book movie to come out all year. And I'm hoping it could still outgross Guardians Volume 2. It still would need to make about 60 million more worldwide. Do you think that's possible? Do you think it's only number 4, so I mean, do you think it can make another 60 million?
Yeah, because it's not dropping off that much still. I mean, it's less than 35%, so
yeah, I mean, it's
top
not
10. I mean,
it's not dropping like Fast X.
Yes, exactly.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, Guardian sticks around a little longer than Little Mermaid.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's move forward and let's talk about the rest of the top 10. Rich, can you reveal what movies made the top 10?
Coming in number 6 is Fast X. Number 7 is the Super Mario Brothers movie. Number 8 is About My Father. Number 9 is The Machine. And right now the top 10 is Past Lives.
Like Rich was saying, Fast X actually premiered on VOD this past weekend, which basically saying like it's pretty much done on this domestic release.
Yeah, I guess they wanted it to be a big surprise for Friday, and Yeah, I think it worked out for as being a surprise, but still, I mean, it's them announcing that okay, we're done. It's definitely run out of gas everywhere.
Well, let's move forward and let's talk about the upcoming week. Rich, what can moviegoers expect at the theaters this weekend?
Opening up this, or is it Father's Day?
Yeah.
Okay. Opening up this Father's Day weekend is The Flash. This is the highly anticipated and long-delayed DC comic book movie that draws inspiration from the iconic Flashpoint comic book storyline where speedster Barry Allen races through multiverses and encounters a number of alternate DC Universe superheroes. Among them is Supergirl from a different Earth, as well as an older Batman played by none other than Michael Keaton. Also coming out in wide release is Elemental. This is the new Disney Pixar animated comedy set in a magical place called Elemental City, where the residents are elements of fire, water, land, and air. Also opening up is The Blackening. This is the new horror spoof that follows a group of friends that are trapped in a remote cabin and then find themselves unsuspectingly thrust into a diabolical survival game orchestrated by a masked killer.
Yes, so The Flash is expecting to earn anywhere between 70 to 75 million domestically. That's the projections that it's getting. Elemental is also projected to have an opening weekend around 40 million, which would be one of the lowest Pixar's opening ever if that ended up happening. So let's start with The Flash. What's your thoughts on The Flash? How much is this going to make in the box office?
I think it's going to make like double what it's projected. I think it's going to have probably the biggest opening of the year. I'm not saying it's going to be the biggest movie of the year because I think it's going to be very hard to repeat the success that Super Mario Brothers has had. But I do think it will have the biggest opening of the year. And yeah, I think it will be around 130, maybe 140.
Wow.
I mean, it's a really fun movie, and I think it's I think Warner Brothers has been doing a really good job by doing all these like early kind of fan screenings, and I've just been seeing so much positivity for the movie at all these screenings, and online on social media, and I just feel like the hype is very strong for this movie. Like I've been going to like just a lot of events and stuff, and every time I talk to people, like this is their most anticipated movie, and I just think it's gonna be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the film's been marketed pretty well, and I think they might do a last minute Father's Day pitch with Michael Keaton. I mean, that'll be good a pairing as a take your father to go see the original Batman or whatever.
They had been on social media.
Oh yeah, that'll work. And Elemental, I don't think it's got a chance in the world to be.
Yeah, me neither. I think way worse than Little Mermaid.
I think the best thing that Pixar should do is probably promote their short that's opening with it, though the Little Up sequel.
I didn't even know about this.
Carl's Date, which is basically a sequel to Up or whatever. So that's the most interesting thing going for it.
Yeah, I agree with Rich. I didn't even know about this short, but I mean, I know if they were to advertise that a bit more, that would probably help the movie out because Up is just a phenomenal kind of movie, and it's a classic at this point. So I would see that helping, but they're not going to do that. And Elemental looks like a terrible movie, so it's probably going to perform like I think it's going to come below these projections. It's projected 40 million. I think it's going to be around like 28. But we'll see. And The Blackening, I think it's actually going to do pretty well for what it is, So if they're expecting this movie to come in, in the like around 15 million, 10 to 15 million, I think that would be good for this movie, and I think that's what it's going to come in at.
Let's talk about limited release. Rich, what movies are coming out in limited release?
Opening up in limited release is Asteroid City. This is Wes Anderson's latest star-studded film that takes place in a made-up American desert town in 1955 and centers around an annual Young Space Cadet convention where students and their parents from across the country gather and compete in a youth science tournament. And also Maggie Moore's. This is the small town crime comedy that stars John Hamm and Tina Fey as an unlikely pair trying to solve a case of two murdered women who happen to have the same name.
Let me ask you this. Is Wes Anderson the new Woody Allen? And what I mean by that, does he get to do a movie almost every year and has this really star-studded cast because he has built a name and a reputation for himself? That's the only
Yeah.
comparison I'm making with Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, yeah. And I think for the most part, he's earned it. He's earned it. Like, not all of his movies are great, but I mean, he has like a pretty good track record. I'm not super excited for Asteroid City, mostly because I didn't love his last movie, The French Dispatch. But I mean, like I was just saying, I mean, he for the most part has a pretty good track record. I like most of his movies, and his new movie, Asteroid City, I think actually looks pretty fun. It looks kind of like a more of a return to kind of the more wacky kind of life aquatic type of movies, and I think it could bring in his fan base. I just don't know how big that is. How big that how big of a number that would be. But it's definitely going to be under 10 million. And I think as long as it opens to more to 5 million for opening weekend, I think that'd be good. So anywhere between 5 to 10, I think would be fine.
Let's move now into streaming. Rich, tell us what movies can people stream this weekend?
Streaming this weekend on Netflix is Extraction 2. This is the new Russo brothers produced action sequel that sees Chris Hemsworth returning as Black Ops mercenary Tyler Rake. Also streaming this weekend on Disney Plus is Stan Lee. This is the new documentary that celebrates the extraordinary legacy and legendary Marvel comic book writer Stan Lee. And finally coming out on streaming on Hulu is Jagged Mind. This is the new psychological thriller starring Macy Richardson Sellers and Shannon Woodward.
Now, is Extraction 2 the Father's Day movie of this weekend?
Streaming wise, yes.
Dude, I really loved the first movie, and I know Raymond was not a big fan of it, but I can't wait for Extraction 2. And I was shocked that it actually is coming out this week so fast. I thought it was going to be later in the summer. So
they haven't really been promoting it, huh?
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
That's typical Netflix.
So
yeah, and I guess since the first one was a huge hit for Netflix, you would assume that the same success is going to repeat.
Yeah.
But we'll see, right? I mean, has Netflix had like a movie sequel like this before, like a sequel to one of their big sensations?
Yeah.
What was it?
The Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston
Murder Mystery?
Yeah, Murder Mystery sequel. Yeah.
Was that a big hit?
I don't think so, but I mean,
okay, well, let's hope that this is a bigger success for them.
But the last big hit for Netflix was the action movie Mother with Jennifer Lopez, which opened like a couple weeks ago. It's still doing pretty good. And that movie's a piece of shit. Yeah. I didn't like that movie at all. So I'm hoping the Extraction 2 at least will be better than that. And most likely will have the same kind of numbers. I mean, who knows how how they count these numbers and these views, but most likely it's going to be number one, and people are going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. Stan Lee, I just saw the trailer for this last week, and I'm really excited about it. Disney has a lot of great access to archival footage, and they have been doing really good original documentaries. I'll give Disney Plus that credit. I'm going to check this out too.
Definitely, I've been waiting for this one ever since they announced that they were doing it. So, I'm hoping it's good as it should be.
All right. So that's it for this weekend's box office report. Thank you for watching InsideFlix, and we'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about The Flash and see how well it does. I mean, is it going to be a huge phenomenon like Raymond is hoping for, or is it going to fizzle out? We'll see. We're also going to be talking about the new movies coming out next week. All right. We got to go. We got to get out of here. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.